If you've never been exposed to comic book review, then consider yourself lucky. If you're not familiar at all, as the name suggests, it is a comic book related journalism site. But the articles on anime and manga are notorious for having some of the worst misinformation and some of the worst takes around. So I, like anybody else, gets a good laugh out of some of these, and especially one I just happened to stumble across entitled One Piece 9 Fan Theories That May Be True. Uh, Interesting title there because last time I checked, all theories may be true. That is kind of how they work. But, it can't be that bad, right? 9 theories. I'm sure some of them have some good evidence. So we'll start with number 9. Rouge gave birth to twins. She gave birth to Anne and Ace. And right off the bat, I have to actually give some props to them. They gave Jewelry Bonnie the name Anne, which is what, if you're not familiar, that is regarding to Anne Bonny, the actual real life pirate that Jewelry Bonnie was based off of. Um, sort of insinuating that that is her real name. But what I find interesting about that is that it doesn't really explain it. They just kind of call her Anne instead of Jewelry throughout the entire article. So some casual fans of One Piece might not even know what they're talking about there. But that really doesn't have anything to do with the theory either. They just kind of call her Anne. But obviously, she has had secret identities in the past. Obviously, she has gone by Connie of the Sorbet Kingdom. So it's not impossible that her real name isn't Jewelry either. But the theory itself isn't anything special. It basically, as the name suggests, states that Anne is the sister of Ace, and Rouge gave birth to twins, and that there is, the Pirate King bloodline is still going. But basically, the only real piece of evidence they have for this is that Jewelry Bonnie was upset at Ace's death a little more than the other supernovas, obviously excluding Luffy. But it does, again, credit where credit's due. It does admit that this is, one of the most far-fetched theories surrounding Roger that they could find. Which, I mean, that's interesting that they would include it on the list then, because I could probably name 9 theories off the top of my head that aren't on this list that are way better and have a lot more evidence backing them up. But, give them benefit of the doubt there. They did have some actual, interesting facts in there. They just didn't really elaborate on it that much. Going on to number 8, Shanks is evil. Another fairly popular, fairly mainstream theory. But it again is kind of speculation because the only really thing we have to go off of on that is the fact that Shanks had a meeting with the Gorosei, and we didn't, and they discussed a particular pirate. And some people obviously speculated that that might be Luffy, and that Shanks is actually working with the real government against Luffy, or something like that. But it's more likely that it's something like Blackbeard, and that Shanks is genuinely looking out for the fate of the world here. But again, other than that, pretty much speculation. The article states that the reason he is working with the Gorosei is to prevent pirates from reaching Laugh Tale, which is kind of interesting because I don't know why you would inspire a child to be the king of the pirates if you didn't want people reaching Laugh Tale. But what do I know? We'll move on to number 7. Still on the topic of Shanks. Shanks and Blackbeard fought, and that's what led to Shanks getting his scars. Now, even if you're a more casual fan of One Piece, you might notice an instant problem with this theory here, and that is a fact. That is a fact that has been explained in this series by Shanks himself, that he fought Blackbeard and got the scars. And it's not even like a recent spoiler manga event either. That happened pre-time skip, before the Paramount War, when Shanks met with Whitebeard briefly. But it also theorizes that the reason that they fought is because Shanks got his hands on the Gomu Gomu no Mi, and Blackbeard mistook it for the Yami Yami no Mi because they have similar appearance, and that they fought. Which is some of the that's just speculation, and it's pretty much outright wrong. I don't know if it's factual, but I'm pretty sure that it was at least heavily hinted at that Shanks got the Goma Goma no Mi during the voyage just before he returned, and we saw what happened at Romance Dawn, the first chapter. Luffy obviously ate the fruit. Um, he could have had it for longer. I don't think that was the case. I think he said that they got it on that voyage. But obviously, if that is the case, then that immediately just completely proves this like mini theory instead of a statement wrong. Um, and obviously, I don't think even if he did have the fruit for that much longer, I don't think Blackbeard would have, Blackbeard as cunning and planning as he is, would have attacked someone like Shanks over it until he made it absolutely sure that it was the Yami Yami no Mi. But, interesting one there. And I, again, I'm pretty sure, I don't know, I'm pretty sure he got the scar when he was a kid also. Not like, in Odin's flashback, I don't believe he had the scar, like when they went to Laughtail, so it would have been after Roger died, I'm pretty sure. But we saw obviously Teach was using the three claw things back when he was still young, so he would have had the scar for a lot longer. And I don't think modern Teach, before he had the Yami no Mi, could have injured Shanks in that way, even if he was still using that weapon. But obviously that in and of itself is just speculation, so I can't really say much on that. Going on to number 6, Dragon possesses the Quetzalcoatl fruit. The Quetzalcoatl fruit, sorry. Another dragon zoan, pretty much. And, ever since Loketown, everyone's been theorizing that he has something to do with wind or weather in some way. And the theory basically states that this is a mythical zoan that would be able to control the weather. But, while that isn't necessarily too far-fetched, and I obviously think he has some sort of weather-based ability too, I had a general consensus is that I don't think Oda will make another dragon Zoan, just because that would kind of be, well, I mean, obviously Kaido has the fish fruit, so maybe, but I don't really think that another dragon fruit with such another like influential character would be something that Oda would go for. So obviously that's pretty much, again, speculation, but that one doesn't really seem that great of a theory. So I won't talk that much about it either. Number 5, Aokiji is a spy of the Revolutionary Army, which, another interesting one, and something interesting that I found, that I discovered when reading this one, is that it pretty much uses, stuff that isn't confirmed. Well, it uses speculation as evidence for its, further speculation. And what I mean by that is that the theory says that Aokiji might be friends with Dragon, and that might be why he plans to rebel against the world government, which, interesting one. That would also imply that he has been a part of both the Revolutionary Army, the Marines, and Blackbeard's pirate crew, which means he has quite some range there. But I don't think this is true at all. Again, like, the mental gymnastics that they had to go through to prove this theory is really not even it's not a theory at all, really. It's just speculation. If it's true, good on them, but I don't think it is. And number 4, Blackbeard will consume the Hebi Hebi no Mi Model Yamata no Orochi, which, if you're not familiar, is Orochi's devil fruit, the 8-headed mythical snake thing, which, it is heavily theorized. So again, I gotta give him some credit here. It is heavily theorized that since Blackbeard, there are 3 skulls on his Jolly Roger, and obviously it's been noted many times that his body is strange by Marco, by Luffy and Zoro back in Jaya. So it's heavily theorized that he's somehow multiple people in one body or something similar to that. in that essentially he is going to have 3 devil fruits by the end of the series. And currently he has the Yami Yami no Mi, one of, if not the strongest, Logia fruits, the Guro Guro no Mi, which is considered the strongest Paramecia. And so that would leave, obviously, the possibility that he would have a mythical Zoan for his third and final fruit. But it doesn't really go into any details about why it thinks it'll be the Yamato no Orochi. I think it really just, it came down to, what mythical Zoan is available. I doubt he'll get Kaido's fruit again. Like I said with the dragon theory, I doubt that he'll reuse a dragon for a main antagonist or another influential figure in the series, because that kind of lessens the impact of Kaido having one, and the importance that had in that in Wano specifically. So the Yamato no Orochi. I believe the only 2 mythical zone. Oh, there's 3 other mythical zones other than the Yamato no Orochi and Kaido's fruit, which is Marco's Phoenix fruit, the Nine-tailed Fox fruit that is obviously on Blackbeard's own crew, and the Hito Hito no Mi Model Daibutsu. I believe that's what it's called. The Sengoku's Buddha fruit. I think it's Hito Hito no Mi. And obviously people, so, they default to, they must take it from Orochi, because he's, the most likely out of that group, which will mean that, they're kind of also implying that he'll show up on Wano. But that also means that in order for this to be true, Orochi is still alive. Obviously, last we saw him, he got his head cut off by Kaido, and by now, it's been, 15 chapters since that happened? By now, the spirit of the devil fruit would have reincarnated itself by now. So, obviously, this would have to mean that Orochi is still alive for him to be able to take it. But other than that, it's again pretty much speculation. There is, some they could have just as the only really problem I have with this one is that they just as easily could have said that Blackbeard will eat a mythical Zoan fruit, because that is a widely accepted theory in the community. But they had to specifically say Yamato no Orochi, which they give really no evidence for. They just kind of say, oh, that's the one they'll eat, and we just have to accept that. So surely. Number 3, Dragon is a former Marine. This is one that I would personally believe. Obviously we saw how Garp wanted Luffy to be a Marine, so obviously his own son, I assume he would have gone through the same process with. And that, in his time in the Marines, he would have, experienced whatever led him to be, go AWOL there. But, again, it doesn't really, again, a similar problem, it doesn't really give any evidence. The whole Garb thing that I just explained, it doesn't really explain that. It basically explains that the only thing it really says is that it would have given him, motivation to become a revolutionary, which, obviously that is true, but it doesn't really give any evidence other than that. And number 2, a real interesting one. Mihawk is the son of Rayleigh and Shaki, which the only evidence they give for this is that, according to the theory, Mihawk is the son of Rayleigh and Shaki. It points to their similar hairstyle and the color of Shaki and Misa. So basically it says because they have a similar hairstyle and the same color hair, that they must have I don't know about that one. It's really just, it's a really awful speculation there. Obviously we know Rayleigh is a fine swordsman, And Shaki is theorized to have once been on the Rocks crew, since she is very old, and very well could have been around. The timing matches up. She said she was a pirate like 40 years ago or something. That obviously would have matched up with Rox's era. But other than that, there's really not there. If it had given more evidence, like again, like I said, Rayleigh is used as a sword. He's a good swordsman. That's evidence, even if it is still kind of a stupid theory. But the only thing it says is that they have a similar hairstyle with the same color as Mihawk, which, when you put it like that, I just have to agree. But number one, number one really, really pushes it over. You'd think number one would really, they would actually have, a theory here. You would think would be the best one out of all of them. But somehow, it's the worst. So we already discovered last one my problems when you say, oh, these characters must be related because they look similar. And well, we have a similar problem here. Brook is Aokiji's father. Another Aokiji theory, this time relating him to Brook, which, the problem with this one is, like I said, they use the whole they look similar card for this one. The only evidence they give is that Brook and Aokiji have similar facial structures, and they also wear glasses with inverted colors. Which, that's just great evidence right here. But the real problem I have with this one is that you really, there was obviously no effort put into this theory, because the only thing you have to do is make a Google search, and you've instantly debunked this theory. A little search called "How old is Aokiji?" and you'll find that pre-time skip, he was 47 years old. Now, the instant problem with this that you may pick up is that Brook was on the ship in the Florian Triangle for 50 years. So that immediately makes that theory invalid. And, if that wasn't number one, I might have given them some slack. But the fact that a theory that could be debunked with a single Google search is at the number one of their list, that is supposed to be, the best 9 theories in the One Piece community, which has produced, some amazing, theories that really have so much evidence backing them up. But, the top 2 theories were both based on, X is related to Y because they both share a similar characteristic. It's really funny, But yeah, that just about wraps that up. I found this article really humorous about how little evidence they had, and how the theories were basically straight up speculation.